Hello, everyone. Yes, we are back with another episode of the Ultimate Human Experience Podcast. You already know who it is. It is your girl, Rashida, aka Righteous Sun. And this episode is very special. We are welcoming visionary and founder of the Hira Collective, Reema. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Yes, share with family and friends and those who you feel will vibe with this message. With that being said, let's get into it. Welcome, Reema. I am really excited about this episode. This is a really special episode that we are doing. Normally, we're going to do it a little differently this time. Normally, I start off by saying, who is Reema? Please tell us, because this is what the human experience is about. We want to hear your story. But we're switching it up a little bit. We're going to start with what the Ultimate Human Experience podcast is all about, because this one is a special episode and why we are even having this conversation right now.
Love it.
Oh, how did it even start with the Ultimate Human Experience? Now the spotlight is back on me. Normally, I place it on others, but now it is on me about what this is about. And I think that's beautiful because I've always had moments where I've wanted to share little clips about what this podcast started and how it started and like why I did it. But I can honestly say that I'm learning over time since doing the podcast and starting it, since talking to people from all over the world, that yes, the human experience is everything. It's the
Mm,
good, it's the bad, it's the ugly, it's the crying, it's the laughter, it's the fear, it's all emotions
the
because that,
joy.
right? The joy, because that's what the human experience is about. And I want to be able to experience all facets of that because my whole life I've experienced that and maybe didn't even realize that. And I think so many people out there don't even realize sometimes that they are experiencing the things that they are going through, probably because most of the times we're caught in our head and our thoughts, and that is taking us on like this wild tangent. But the human experience is not what I've also learned is the human experience is not just the human experience. It's the soulful experience. It's like the human and the soul collectively working together to have this ultimate experience. And I'll never forget somebody saying that on one of the episodes. They were like, yeah, it's not just that, Rashida. It's like a whole collective. It's like
Mm.
the divine and the human coming together as one. And I was like, oh, you're right. And I've kind of gone with that. So going forward with the human experience in this podcast, I've been really blessed to meet so many people. I've been blessed to have the opportunity to learn so much because I think that to me, if I had to say what is the human experience, it's about connection. Like, I love connecting, I love having these conversations. Every time I jump on an episode, I'm not gonna lie. Am I nervous most times? Totally, because I have no idea how the conversation is gonna go. And I never have a script. It's just us having a conversation. It's us expressing ourselves. It's us sharing our stories, our journey, our experiences with one another. And it's us learning. And now it's like on a platform. Do I do this on an everyday basis with my friends and the people I meet? Yeah. And I think that's kind of how it started was me opening my eyes to understanding that the people that we meet, I don't care what race, what background, where you come from, we are all experiencing something. And we might not feel the need to share it because we think that, oh, it's not important or it's not, it's not special. But the stories that I've heard in my everyday life is special. Like, wow, I didn't know that you experienced that. Like, there's a whole life that, we're adults. So I kind of think like there's this whole life that we are experiencing for ourselves, but we forget that the relationships that we are building, they were having their own personal experience prior to us meeting. So, what was your story then? How did it bring you to this point? And not only that, but like, how did it bring you to this point that now we're having a conversation and that we're like building a connection? to me, that's even like, it's on a whole nother level now because it's like spirit connects people through energy. So eventually you'll be like, wow, we have so many connections just through conversation, and your story actually matters. You've inspired me in some way. And so everybody's story to me, it inspires me because I take little bits and pieces from everybody and find ways to utilize that for myself. And I think we should all do that because, like, the journey is never ending. I can't do it alone. I learn from so many people. I grow, I think, on so many levels when I can hear other people's stories and say, oh, I didn't realize that you could see it from that angle or from that perspective. And now that I have that, I'm going to take that, I'm going to sit with it. I'm going to probably journal. So I always end up journaling something about these conversations. And then I'm going to find ways to utilize that along the way. So I think these conversations are about everybody being on their own individual journey, but taking breaks in between. And I always see it like taking a break and sitting under the tree with those who are along their journey, but we're just taking a moment to rest. We're taking a moment to reflect with one another. We're breaking bread with one another, integrating it, and then saying thank you for that. That's going to take me another like couple of miles before I have to stop again. So that to me is what like this human experience, this ultimate human experience is all about. And it's connected me to you. Now, I want to add this in too, Rashida and Reema. Okay, two R's. All right. So that in itself is like one connection. But can you explain to us like how this connection even happened from your perspective on your
Yeah,
end?
I love to. Thank you, Rashida. Hey, everyone, I'm Reema, the visionary and founder of the Hira Collective. So, well back July 2023, I shared a call out for members to join the Hira Collective. And we were seeking practitioners who, and we continue to seek practitioners who honor the ancestral lineage of the modalities and services that they offer. So, these practitioners could be anywhere from holistic wellness, mystic art practitioners. Um, and I connected with Rashida sometime after July 2023. I believe we connected in like December, right? December 2020. And I think that there was a little bit of a gap. Like, I think we connected and then we had to reconnect. And there was a little bit of like a, just with, life and lifing, right? And so when we finally actually got on that call where I got to introduce the Hira Collective, um, I learned a lot about your magic, Rashida, and you shared about your podcast, about your intentionality. And I even remember it taking us a little bit of time to actually start the presentation about the Hero Collective because you and I just like, and I think you even said at one point, correct me if I'm wrong, you were like, have we, no, yeah, you were like, hey, have we met before? And I was like, we've totally met before. And we couldn't, like, we live in different parts, that we didn't go to the same schools. Like, so that was really fun. That was a really like, I could feel like, and I think I shared this with you very recently, right? I could feel like my ancestors, like, finally, you two have connected. Like, finally, we've been waiting for this. We've been waiting for the two of you to connect. Um, and so, and I knew in that moment that it was not just going to be this practitioner on my platform, but there was something more there, and I didn't know what that quite was. So, in building the Hero Collective, there's lots going on. There's lots of different, parts of the business that are currently being developed, depending on when you're hearing this podcast. And one part of it was we needed to build a podcast. I didn't know how we were going to create this. I'm not well right now, so I've had to outsource a lot of this dream that I'm creating. I'm very much sitting in the role of the visionary and outsourcing a lot of pieces. And a podcast is just definitely not something that's in my wheelhouse, but also just not in my capacity right now. So I reached out to Rashida to help support in promoting the Hira Collective. Um, a week ago, a week and 2 days ago. And I shared, hey, can I be on your podcast at some point? Because I'd love to promote the Hira Collective. And within 5 minutes, that conversation over Instagram, voice notes turned into, we need to partner. And actually, this podcast needs to be something that is amplifies and supports the Hira Collective. And that kind of began our partnership. And I don't even know if partnership is the right word. I mean, we have a partnership, but the podcast really feels like a synergy about what you have created with your heart, soul, and purpose, and what the Hira Collective is seeking to be the space to amplify the message of what we're also trying to create, which is, supporting and uplifting and up leveling the human experience and creating that access and to resources and practitioners who can support the ultimate human experience journey. And so that's how, we met in our physical bodies very recently, and clearly our spiritual and souls have been together for quite some time and aligned on the same path and journey. And here we are, co-hosting the Ultimate Human Experience podcast, where you take on the lead and I share with you in this energy, in this beautiful space that you've created.
I just want to do this. Just a little bit of this. That was amazing. I'm not sure if you wrote that down or how you did that, but like I just love with that. Because I don't think I could have put it into words the way that you did. But I agree 100% with everything. Like as you were saying it all, I was like, I just want to grin from ear to ear because I'm really excited. I'm really excited for the conversations that will happen. And
On and off podcasts, because we've had a lot of conversation off podcasts that I've just like, we've had to go on walks separately because we've been like, I'm like buzzing right now. This is like, I manifested you. I manifested this partnership just feels like,
yeah. And I want to add in for those who are listening, like manifesting is real. I know people are like, oh, well, in the spiritual community, they're like, it's more than just manifesting. There is more to it, but it's about believing and trusting the visions that you see because we question those things all the time. Like, is this real? Is this? And I do it all the time. I'm human, right? We're all human. So we go through that. We place doubt. And maybe sometimes it's not even the doubt that we have now, it's the doubt from the past. It could be outside voices that might be just coming in there saying, oh, this can't happen, or it's not what we're used to, but it's something different. So I got to keep going with the different because I've always been going with the different.
the evolution, right? The transformation.
Yeah, it's like so important. So the reason why I say it is because when we had that conversation, you said, you want to come on can I be on? I'm like, yes, totally. At that point, I was like in between trying to find people. Like, it's not easy to find people to jump on.
The right people, right? The
Yeah,
people who are aligned with your purpose, your vision of the ultimate human experience.
totally agree. And not everybody feels called to share. Like, that's another
Mm.
thing, too. So it's not easy to find people or the right people. And I always kept hearing she should just go with the podcast. But maybe Spirit, I should be doing the like just podcast. That's all I kept hearing. And then I was like, well, I can't find people and I don't want this leg. And they were like, trust that people will find you. And I had people that would just be like, that were finding me recently. And then you came on in that moment where I was like, there's a leg. I need to jump in. I need to do one on my own. And they're like, just trust. And then you should have said, can I be on there? And I was like, oh, you know it, Spirit. Okay, I trust you. I do trust you. I promise. And then it ballooned into, yeah, we need to
Whoa,
partner. And
did it
even,
ever?
right. And even that piece, I was like, do you understand? Like from last year, I was like, this podcast needs to be more than what it is. It needs to expand. What does that look like, Rashida? And I was like, no, this looks like I would love to have a partner. Like I would love to partner with somebody. I would love to have this be not just the ultimate human experience, but something bigger than that, an expansion. And they're like, okay, we hear you. And I was like, I don't know how it's going to happen, But I was very much like, I see this vision of it being this, and topics and conversations and discussions and even more people. So, not just being one on one. I love panel discussions because it just means more people at the table that can share their wisdom, more people at the table that can share their stories and their experiences. And that to me excites me. I love to chit chat. So, like, why not? And then when you showed up, I was like, is this really happening? Like, I was thinking all of this, and now in an instant, like, it's just this. Now, I want to say, like, nothing happens in an instant. Know that things are always happening behind the scenes, and it takes a team. It takes, like, your spirit team, but it also takes you as a person to show up
And
on
trust.
every, right? And trust on every level. And it has now come to that point. So I'm excited because, like what you said, this was something that was already happening spiritually, energetically going forward. And I'm just happy that we are able to have this conversation to introduce one another and introduce this amazing, like, I don't even know what to call it, but
I
this
don't know either.
amazing,
Partner. It's
how
not
we
even
want
not a partnership. It's oh, I don't, it's just juicy is what it is, right? And like it's so funny, right? Because like while you're asking spirit and universe about like bring me aligned people and bring me and like I want to expand this, there I am without, you know, you realizing I'm bringing on all these people onto the Hira Collective, right? So, you know, for, you know, just to share a little bit about more about the Hira Collective is really about connecting individuals with holistic practitioners who respect and preserve their ancestral healing. It's kind of like the Uber for holistic health, right? You're able to go online, you're able to search by modality, ailment, or symptom, and come up, and then what will, you know, show up is resources and supports like blogs and articles that could support you, but as well as practitioners who you could book with. And you don't know what you don't know. So if you're seeking support with like menstrual health or whatnot, you might not know about womb healing, and that could be a practitioner could show up to support you with that. And so as you're asking universe guidance for bringing more people, there I was, you know, vetting practitioners. So just so everyone knows, all the practitioners a part of the Hira Collective are, you know, vigorously vetted. Rashida was also vetted. To ensure that they do honor the ancestral lineage of the practices that they share, but that they also have, you know, references and certifications and clients who, you know, give them the five, we call them diamonds at the Hero Collective, the five diamonds, to ensure that you have the supports and have access to those vetted practitioners, right? So as you're asking for that, Rashida, I was building all that, and now we have over 50 practitioners on the Hero Collective. Um, and so, you know, our journey, you know, we had this conversation about a week and 2 days ago. And then last week we said, you know, we got to get on a call. We got to brainstorm like, what is this going to look like? What are the agreements back and forth? What is the name of the podcast? What is it going to look like in terms of a logo? And I mean, there's nothing better than the name that you've given it, Rashida. The ultimate human experience completely embodies everything that, you know, both of us are aspiring to with our, you know, with the space and the pieces that we have. um and the logo for the Hira Collective, the butterfly with the diamond, completely embodies the ultimate human experience, right? And please jump in as I share. So the logo, and you know, we will share this in a follow up episode, but it's the butterfly with the diamond, as you can see on the podcast cover. The butterfly and the diamond represent the duality, this complexity of the human experience, right? The butterfly representing the fact that we're always in this iterative transformation, and you know, the spiral up that sometimes feels like a spiral down, but really it is about up leveling and spiraling up. And the diamond represents the fact that throughout this journey we're also told that we're always whole and complete just as we are, and the fact that that duality can coexist, right? That duality of always being in this iterative form of transformation but also being whole and complete. It's kind of remarkable.
Yeah.
The diamond also represents the fact that, you know, diamonds are created as a result of pressure and compression, much like the human experience and much like the human existence, both individually and collectively. Diamonds are also often found on the backs of blood and trauma, and as a result of colonization and greed. And so it's really for us, and diamonds are found in earth and they are part of the earth and in the roots, right? Like where it's in our ground. And so it's really about reclaiming and taking that back. And not only just honoring our roots, but honoring the dignity of all of humans and the human experience. Um, Diamonds are also brilliant, bright, and invaluable. And they're the strongest stone that exists. And that's why the logo is the butterfly and the diamond, to really encompass that ultimate human experience that we have individually and collectively. Just to share a personal note, Rashida and I had a bit of a teary moment when I first shared this with her. My grandmother, she's now in her spirit body. Her name is Bopati Hiranandani. Bopati means butterfly, and Hira means diamond. My grandmother is, her essence, her name, her spirit is in the logo of the Hira Collective, and embodies and is my guide, my spirit, and my partner in building the Hira Collective. So um, I'm excited. I'm excited for the practitioners, the magical practitioners and partners, a part of the Hira Collective, to be hosted on the Ultimate Human Experience podcast, sharing their wisdom, their insights through panel discussions. We've got some really exciting podcast episodes coming up. So Rashid and I really just sat down last week, bud? Like we just sat down last week to like talk about what this could look like. And all of a sudden we had all of season one
Ready
planned
to go.
out, figured out, focus with who, and then we invited practitioners to sign up to share, and which the podcast felt most aligned to them. But like that conversation that we had was mind blowing.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
did record it, so we will be sharing some BTS um behind the scenes in future podcasts and content on both of our socials. um yeah, I got into like a little bit of a zone there as I was
It
sharing.
was nice. It was nice to expand on topics that we all have conversations about, whether it's with our friends, whether it's alone, whether that is what we're reading, what we see on social media, our thoughts that we might not be sharing. So I think it's an excited time to be able to, I would say,
Raise.
broaden, yeah, the conversations that we've had in the past, but now we get to do that on a larger scale. And
Yeah,
I'm really excited that we were able to. I mean, we work well together. I want to add this part into like your Scorpio, right? Scorpio energy. Yeah.
yeah.
Heavy Scorpio. Like, yes, I'm a Libra sun, but man, the Scorpio moon and the rising, it hits me like, so I always think Scorpios work well together. That's just me. um, but like just the way that we are able to connect and we're able to brainstorm ideas, we're on the same page, and I love that.
The number
Um,
of times we both said, "Are you in my brain? Like, are you in my brain?" Or like, I'll send a message to you, and you just finished sending that same message to me, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, so I guess we're both want to do this," and like, and things just happen. Like, we're not always speaking; we're almost just like thinking, and like things are just appearing, and
yeah,
that's been really cool.
it
Um,
just
I'd love for us to talk a little bit about the conversation that we had around, you know, partnership isn't always easy, right? Building, collaborating isn't always easy. And I'd love for us to talk about how you and I have really sat with some of the wounds that have come up in our partnership.
yeah, we're on the same page. I'm not like, oh, we need
Of
to
course you
just,
are.
and then
Of
you
course
brought it up, and I was like, this is exactly why. Yeah, this is going to be, this is really what the human experience is about. It's about learning how you continue to grow and evolve, and how you do that in partnerships and in relationships. And that sometimes cannot be easy depending on your past. I'm learning to be open to receiving and not to place so much thoughts on everything. Because I'm not going to lie, that has just kind of been my life as a child. I've
you.
had to always think ahead of the game or constantly be on my toes.
It's like if you have to be like protect yourself. You're constantly having to like,
Constantly. And I'm
yeah.
not saying it's a bad thing, but there's been moments for me, at least recently, where I'm like, I just want to be in my body. I just want to live. I want to not even just live, I want to thrive in it. And I can only say that that has really been a theme for me, especially just now in like the last 6 months. Like, what does that feel like to actually come back into your body? And I didn't even realize, I'll be honest, doing the podcast has allowed me to realize how much I wasn't in my body. And I was like, wow, I didn't know. And so Spirit is definitely leading me to say, now we really need you to step back into it. You've been, this is how I work. Like, I'm a psychic, I love doing that work. But I've even had to sit with myself just the other day and realized how I've had one foot here on earth and one foot in the spirit world. I like it over there because it's easy. And I've always grown up, that was my safe spot.
Yeah.
I grew up in a household where it was like survival constantly.
Mm.
And in the 80s, you don't understand things about that. Like, that's never, it was never talked about. Like, you know, all the stuff I talk about now with my kids, never.
Yeah.
So I'm now reparenting myself in the relationships. It's allowing me to bring up things in the past that I probably so held deep into like a dark closet, but I'm opening that closet and I'm allowing those things to come out. I'm allowing the little girl's voice to come out, to express all the feelings that are coming with it. And then I'm having that moment of like parenting her and saying, it's okay. Like, it's safe. This is who you are, Rashida. Like, all of those things that you were like maybe told you couldn't do, you shouldn't do, it's not the right thing. I'm telling you, you can, and that's okay. And she loves that. Like, she's loving the fact that she's like, it is safe for me to be out here. It is okay to me.
People will receive you, and the people are safe. There are people who you can be feel safe around.
Right. And connecting that sisterhood, that like
Mm.
connection with women, is so important for me, like super important. Now, I have 4 kids, one's a boy, and then I've got 3 girls. But that piece of
Let me just
like,
pause right here. You have 4 kids.
girl, I have 4 kids. My son is 2, and then I've got 3 girls. And I mean, God has something to teach me. I need to add that part in, but it has allowed me to open up even more about that because I'll be honest, like, I've never had a great relationship with my sisters. This has never been a thing. But I've always been the one in the middle that's like, can't we all just get along? And then to hear the outside, like, that's not reality. That can't happen. No, I think that is. And I've had moments where I've sat there and said, like, God, please bring me people who I can connect with, women especially, who I can connect with, who I can feel safe with, who I can communicate with in a non judgmental way, who I can learn from, who I can grow from. And every single time I put that out there, it shows up. Like, it shows up. And it showed up when I was new to my community and like just new as a mom. I met amazing people, and those people I hold dear to my heart because like it is really like transcended to where I am now, to understand like it can happen. You don't have to do this alone. You can find people from all walks of earth who you can not just create like friendships with, but like a soul family. And
Mm.
that is so near and dear to me. I get goosebumps that I'm like, okay, now, and I always think this too. Everybody comes into your life at a certain time in a moment, a season. You learn things from them. And then eventually, because life is life, people go their separate ways. We still have our connection, but it was a moment that gave me this like this foundation of what can be created. And now, how
What
can
you
I
needed.
take that to other people? How can I create that with
Yeah.
new people? Because I love meeting new people. I cannot stay stagnant, even though I know Scorpio is like a fixed sign.
No,
but
it's also a water sign.
oh, yeah, water. So it's all moving,
Yeah.
right? So, like,
Yeah.
now I've been able to find that in new people, and I love that. And especially, too, in not just finding it in new people, but especially like women of color. Cause
Mm.
like I grew up in the 80s. Like I was French immersion. There was only two black girls and I was one of them. So that connection for me has now grown into like it's safe to be around women of color. Like, and it's not a competition.
No, and I think that, but we also have to be discerning,
Mm,
right? Like, I think that, to jump off your point, like the sister wound is real, right? Like it's not something that we need to ignore and say, just be safe, right? I think it's, you and I found each other, but we've had to have some really hard conversations too. That's allowed for us to show up with vulnerability, to feel the other person's presence and energy, and like to trust our inner guidance to see whether or not we can trust each other, whether or not we can continue to open up and be vulnerable. I just want to honor that little girl in you and that little girl in me, and that like it's not that everyone is others are unsafe. It's that they haven't worked through perhaps some of those things and they show up in a way that is harmful. And our desire and our need and our hope and dream to like have that sisterhood and have that collective of women who can lean on, and more importantly, who lift as they climb. I think
mm,
that's something that I've always been seeking, and I feel like I've always showed up as someone, and I believe you do too, as someone who always lifts as we climb, but then we somehow get left behind by others who don't bring us up. And I think that that's so beautiful about our partnership in this collaboration. I don't even know what to call it again, like partnership, collaboration, synergy, sisterhood of the ultimate human experience, is that it really feels like we're lifting as we climb, right? Like you've got this beautiful podcast and have opened your heart and your place for the Hira Collective, and in what I'm building to support in building and lifting the Hira Collective. And that's, simultaneous of like what we're doing for each other. It's not a transaction by any means, but it is a partnership in that we're truly in support, truly completely supporting and honoring one another. Um, if you don't mind me sharing about, the sister wound that I've been really, really struggling with right now, I, was, really, really violently harmed by a woman of color, who looks like me, who honestly looks like me, about a year and a half ago. And it's been a really tumultuous journey in the workplace, where I work. And it's caused and really impacted me, in my heart and my spirit and my soul. Um, it's had a really, really detrimental impact on my health. Um, my body's gotten larger. It's impacted my brain. I'm concussed. My concussion has deteriorated. It's gotten worse. My vision has changed every time I hear this person's name, receive an email. I continue to spiral down, and so that was it. Really closed my heart. It really impacted. I just wanted to be alone. I didn't trust anyone, and I continue have to really like practice that muscle, right? And I lots of therapy, love my healers, love my peeps, love the people that I go to, and a lot of tears. Like this person has, and I wish them well. I bless them healing. I don't want, like Tupac says, I want you to eat, but it's not my table, right? But I wish them well, but it's really forced me to push against that belief that people are not safe, but that I trust myself to discern who is and who I can open myself up with. And that's forced me to have questions and conversations with people to check, right? Not just what they're saying, but check my body. Go back to what you were saying, Rashida. Come back to my body and like, what's not sitting right? What's not feeling okay? What do I need to do? And so for you and I, every time we meet, we start off with an intention setting. We set off with like a mini prayer, coming back into our bodies and setting the intention of what this conversation of the space is going to look like, including today. And we look forward to closing our conversations in the same way and checking in with each other. And I think that's been something that's really integral to me in how I show up in relation with others, because I don't want that desire and that need to want sisterhood to close because of that one and multiple. I've had multiple harmful experiences, but to close that, right? And so I want to really truly honor you and me in this, and that we've had these harmful experiences and we've showed up with them with that baggage that we're carrying and saying, I really want something with you, but how can we do that when this exists and these experiences exist? Can we create something different? Can we create something that we can vision? And what you said earlier, oh, that was gold. You said, if you can envision it, if you can visualize it, you can create it, you can truly create it. And so, and we're doing that. We're actioning that. We're having those conversations. We're pausing. We're checking in with each other. We're saying, is this okay with you? How are you doing? What do you need? What do you need to hear, right? To feel validated, to feel loved and respected. Um, and I just want to honor you, and I want to honor me, and I want to honor us, and like how we're working through that sister wound together, um, and helping each other to like continue to open our heart, right?
I think it's amazing what you said because I'm constantly hearing with our connection that like if you thought you were gonna learn, you learning a whole lot. You're gonna learn a whole lot through this relationship and through this. I don't know why I always hear union, but like
Yes, union. I love that's it.
that. It's this union of like I'm learning a lot about myself. I'm learning a lot about being in my body in these moments. And I'm also learning that like it is about me and you as humans, but like as that, I would say it's human being, right? So our human is our physical, our being is our soul, our spirit. It feels as if it's like the Hira Collective, it's like I want to say it's like its own entity.
Oh,
And like
totally.
human
It is.
experience is its own entity. And it's just like it was going to merge, is what I feel like. That's
Yeah,
what I hear. It's like this was gonna happen regardless.
yeah.
And I almost feel like, and I hear this so much, especially like in the indigenous community. My kids are indigenous, so like for a brief moment, we were really integrated into the culture, especially with the school that they were going to. They had a lot of programs with that, and I'll never forget the teacher at the time was just like, "I am just, I'm just the vehicle. That's it.
Yes. Yeah.
Everything else runs through me. Spirit runs through me."
Yes.
And that's kind of how I feel with this. Is that like I'm nervous. I think it's nervousness and excitement is the same feeling.
Like
So,
I asked for this. No, I'm getting it. Now I'm like, oh,
so I
yeah.
don't want to like, I'm going to tell you this story. When we had that conversation and we were like, yep, we're doing this. I was like, all right, this is what you asked for. You've been asking for things and it's been showing up, Rashida. I had to go pick up my kids at school. I was like, okay, Mike, I'm going to go and get the kids. And he's like, you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm excited and all this stuff. And then I went and I started crying in the car. And I was like, what? Rashida, why are you crying? I'm like, these are happy tears, but these are like, it was all different feelings. And then it was like, that little voice was like, you're just afraid of failure. Like,
Mhm.
there was that feeling of like, you asked for this and it's so like, it's there in front of you on the platter. Here it is. And it's like, I don't want to F it up. And they're like, you're not, but it's okay to let these tears out because you're human. Let them out and keep going. So it was like happy tears, but like little girl tears because it's like, but it felt good too because it felt like I was releasing things, but it also felt like it was washing away all of the things that
The
were
doubt.
either told to me or the doubt or all these feelings that I have because like, you know, I'm different. I'm the different one in my family. Everybody else went this way, and I was like, I'm always going to stay over here. And it looked different to so many different people. And yet it felt right to me. It always has felt right. And so it was really about me standing firm every minute of every day when I continue to do this, that this is what is meant to happen. This is what you need to do, Rashida. Like, it wouldn't have, what else? It was written in the stars. You had conversations with your spirit team before you came onto this earth. This is just part of what you need to do. So it's kind of like this experience and having this opportunity to share it with you. You have like opened up stuff for me that I was like, I didn't even know needed to be explored.
Mm.
I was like you unlocked certain things that I was like, okay, I like this. This is nice. These conversations are nice. I'll be honest, I don't even think I've ever really had those type of conversations. I've usually been the person to lead conversations. I'm usually the person where like people come to me and then I do what I do. But it was nice to be in a space of like neutral. I don't know if that makes sense, but like this neutralness of like, I'm receiving what she's saying. I'm going to sit with those things. It's like now I've been hearing since we've been having our conversations that like there's going to be so much experiences and so many like learning opportunities that you are going to that are going to come from this relationship you don't even understand. And I'm like, all
And
right.
vice versa, right? For me too, right? Like I didn't cry after, but I was shaking. And I think
Yeah.
that's like the way that my body was experiencing it. And it wasn't the fear of failure that was coming up because I dealt with that just before that because this platform is becoming incredibly huge, which is like, oh, what are we doing? But what came up for me in that was like, she's going to disappoint, or not, she's going to disappoint, but she's going to hurt me.
Mm,
I'm going to be hurt in this partnership. I'm not going to be seen. I'm
yeah.
going to be misunderstood. And
Yeah.
so it wasn't failure, but it was doubt in the sisterhood. And shared that with you. And I said, I'm really scared. I think we need some parameters. I'm really scared. I'm going to be taken for granted. I'm really scared. I'm really scared. And you received that. And I was on the verge of tears when we had that conversation. I was like, I was really scared. And you received that and you said, I'm feeling the same way. I'm feeling the sister wound too. And I remember when we both said it, we just like spoke it. It was like I don't know if you did too, but I felt like this release, like this like opening for both of us because I was scared to even tell you that because like sharing that vulnerability with somebody of like I'm scared is in itself so hard, right? So I want to honor that you shared your fear of failure. I really want to just like honor that because girl, you like that's not in any form of your repertoire of what's going to happen of any kind in any area. Um and thank you for sharing that with me and like all our listeners. um I want to really emphasize the fact that like sisterhood isn't about just like the cute Instagram photos and selfies of like we so pretty, we're all coordinating, we're in cute pictures, we're like on this trip together, like look at us. It's about having those hard conversations about like why we're feeling the way that we are and how do we show up for each other, how do we see each other, how is it important for me to feel seen and how is it important for you to feel seen and valued. And for you and I it's been pretty seamless, but we've also picked up on like when you've said something to me about what I've said or how I've shown up and you've seen me like you've truly honored pieces of me that I'm afraid of and you've said no, I love this about you, or I love that you can, like you said to me the other day, I love that you can be so macro and that you can hold a container for people that they feel safe but they still feel that they can be fluid and express themselves and be creative. And I love that you see that. And I love about you is that you're able to, you like take, like the string from a sweater and you take that string and you keep pulling and you allow people to gently unwind and unpack themselves while you still hold their heart. And you do that in such a beautiful, the word that's coming up for me is like graceful. You do that in such a graceful way where people still feel so held, like this like mother, right? Like that mother, like four children makes sense for you, but like you know how to like allow people to show up and feel safe. I was afraid to do a podcast, and then we did a mini version of one last week, and you were like, thought you weren't able to do this, Rima. You said, and it was you though, right? It was your ability to just like create this space that really helps people to just kind of pull that string. And so I love that we can show up for each other and honor each other, but also push each other's edge. And like, girl, I know you can do this. I'm here to support you, but you can do this. And it's not a codependent. It's a, Khalil Gibran is my favorite poet, and he talks about we're two pillars of the same building, that we support the pillar, but we are individual and we can support it, right? And so, um, yeah, I love that for us and what we're creating in this union.
Oh, I love how you just said that part, those two pillars. That's really, that's that union. It comes back to the union because, like, the Hira Collective, I'm really excited to watch it grow. I'm excited to see how it touches people's lives. Something like this is needed. Like, I'm not gonna lie, always thought I knew I could never do it. But I was like, it would be amazing for somebody out there to come up with some way for people to like find people, because it's not easy when you start off in your spiritual awakening or even just starting off to discover who you are. Spiritual community is huge, but like in communities like ours, like Black and Brown, it's not something that is like talked about.
Yeah.
Perhaps more in like churches, but like let me tell you, me going out there and being like, I'm a psychic. Yep, I can. It's not something that is received. It's
No.
not. I've done free ones for people, like an offering, and right away I can tell with some women who are of color, it's the same as what you said. It's that sisterhood of like, I don't trust you. I'm gonna feel you out, this and that, and you're just like, well, I'm just coming as I am. Like, and really, it's not me. Like, I'm a nervous and shy person most times, but like when spirit comes in, they're just like, it just does a flip for me. So I think this is beautiful that you
Yeah.
not only envision this, but like you put it into action. You're very much, I love that about you.
Thank
You
you.
envision something and you're like, oh, this going on paper. Like, we gonna put this into action. We're gonna make it work. And I think this will be a wonderful way for people globally to be able to find people who they can really trust to
Yeah.
help them on this journey, because it isn't easy. I've had to be honest, I had to do it, the majority of it, by myself. Like,
Yeah.
it was reading
Yeah.
books and like connecting and going to workshops and things like that, and then just having like heart to heart conversations with myself. So as people, like, we have social media, we have ways of connecting. You don't have to be in the same room with one another. I think that's amazing that you can connect with
Yeah.
people from all over the world to be able to continue to like help yourself.
Yeah. And
Like,
not feel alone, right? Doing it. I think that, and I'm sure you've had this experience too, when, we're having those awakenings, or we're starting to like make those quantum leaps and change and starting to question like how we're supporting ourselves, our mind, body, spirit, soul. Um, it feels really lonely because the people around you are like, what, you don't want to take that medication, or you don't believe in that form of healing anymore? Like, what are you looking for then? And so I think also like not only having access to people who could support you what you might need alternative healing or supports from, or with, but also like finding community while you do that is so important. That doesn't feel transactional, right? When we do go to those like, and I honor like all the circles and all the things that exist, but sometimes it can feel a little gimmicky, or it can feel a little bit um, forceful on you. And I really wanted to create a space that felt authentic, in like you show up as you are, And knowing that you can ask, and you can ask for what you need, and feel held in that, right? And show up the way you want to show up too, right? And I think that was really important. But also, like, in my experience, Rashida, and I don't know if you have this as well. The beginnings of my journey, I found a lot of the wrong people, a lot of the wrong in my journey, a lot of the wrong practitioners who were sharing things that were in fact harmful because it didn't honor the ancestral lineage of what they were sharing. I remember learning about yoga, before I'd done my own yoga teacher training, and this person sharing it from a really harmful space of being all about the body and the physique of the body, and how we needed to like push through how we did yoga, where yoga was not just on the mat but off the mat, and there's so many aspects of yoga, right? And so I think that that was also really important in building the Hira Collective, that it wasn't just about educating what decolonization is, but it was actioning it. How do we reclaim those ways of healing and honor them, as we share them forward, as we're honoring our own experiences and our own ultimate human experience, right? And so I think that, like, the Hero Collective is so multifaceted in like what it's rooted in, and its community empowerment, honoring roots, right? It's really true honoring the roots of our needs and what we need, but also honoring the roots of those healing modalities and those practices that are shared. And the practitioners on the platform are incredible. Like, it continues to grow. Our membership continues to grow. And if you're interested, feel free to apply and be part of that process. It's part of the Hero Collective, but our practitioners are incredible. Like, the modalities that, I there's some things that I haven't heard of and hadn't had an experience myself, right? And so I'm really, really excited of what this will continue to evolve and continue to support, in all the ways, through the meditations that we're going to be sharing, the various accessible ways to access healing and supports, and the various ways we'll be having a membership available for those who would like to have access to membership at a low cost, as well. And there's lots of pieces of it, right? There's also the membership, for end users to find supports, but there's also a membership for practitioners. I don't know if you want to talk to about that, as because you've had experience with that, but it's really important as part of the collective to have that experience with other healers, other service providers, where you, Rashida, you're always giving of your heart and holding space for others. And that community that we've cultivated with over 50 practitioners is really a space where we can show up for one another, right? And like, hey, do you know a web developer? Do you know a lawyer? Do you know someone who could support me with this? And aspects of our business that, may not feel as like aligned or easeful for us. And how do we create that ease and hold that space and support, or just like make friends with other practitioners, where it's not about collaboration or this transactional support of just like a friendship, so that with others who understand the same things that we're going through as a practitioner. And so that was really, really important for me. And when we're building community, it's not just a community of like people, but a sense of belonging, a deep sense of belonging and feeling seen. um yeah, I don't know if you want to share a little bit about that, of your experience about being a practitioner and a member of part of the Hero Collective.
I am loving it. Honestly, like, I work from home. So everything I do is from home. It's, through the computer. I'm not a tech savvy person, but I'm learning over time that, Rashida, like, you don't need to be in person. Um,
Mm,
I have the choice of being in person, and I've done that many times, but I also realize, wow, there's so many people all around the world who I can connect with and communicate with. And like, why not? We're in this age of technology that, like, as much as there's like negatives, there's so many positives, there's so many benefits from it too. And I think this is just a beautiful way, in my opinion, of how community can happen. Doesn't I mean, the truth is, not everybody has those people within their community. And sometimes what I've learned too is that, guess what? Like, even through technology, you can actually find people that maybe are in your community and you had no idea that they were like not too far down the road.
yeah.
I love the fact that I can connect with other people who are going through their experiences.
Mm,
And what I look forward to in the next like episodes to come is the different perspectives that are coming in, everybody I'm learning is on a different level of their experience and their healing journey. And the fact that we can sit there in groups, because I love how we have those moments of connection. I was like, don't ever not have this as part of the Hero Collective. Of course, it will be, but those moments where we can break up into small circles with each other and
Oh, the
just
speed running. The speed running
love.
that we're having. Yeah, 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 yeah.
And I'm loving the fact that that will be something that really helps us to connect with ourselves, but also connect with others. I see it in like the energy of people, like at the end of the day, like we're all going in a little shy, of course, right? We're all holding guard, we're keeping guard, keeping safe and protected. But by the end, it's almost like spirit is like, "Oh, it's okay. It's okay to be a little vulnerable. It's okay. People are, I don't know. I was just hearing this word like people are safe. It's okay to connect with other people.
Yes.
And I think really that's what the Hero Collective is about. It's an opportunity. I can just speak on myself. It's an
Yeah.
opportunity for me to connect with other like-minded people. It's for me to connect with other practitioners. Yes, there's many things on there that I was like, I didn't even know that thing. Like honestly, like most times I'm a mom and then like when it comes time to my work, it's my work, but like I don't spend too much time on social media. But the things that I'm learning in the last 6 months of things that I've like never heard of from people, I'm like, oh, I'm so intrigued to learn more. And I think the Hero Collective is a great place to learn those things. It's an opportunity for me to expand on how I can help myself in my healing journey, and not just in my healing journey, but even in my business as well.
Yeah.
So I am like super excited to see how this expands. I don't even want to say I'm super excited to see where it goes because I can already see where it's going, but
Yeah.
just the like expansion of it and the connection that's huge for me is connection. 'Cause I really kind of feel like, I mean, they say that you can't grow unless you have connections.
There's
Like,
a there's a stat that I read the other day though. If when you share an intention with people, your intention, you're 6 times more likely to um like create that intention, actually like formulate that when you share it with those who hold space and hold that intention with you. And I've seen that with the Hero Collective. We have, like you mentioned, the speed friending, which is just this time for us to just socialize and get to know one another in small groups. And we have breakout groups and all that, but we also have our co-working sessions, which has been really powerful. It's a very focused time for us to work on a task that we just need people to hold the energetic space for, and the amount of work and that you get done, or the amount of like whatever you need, the intention that you need to get done, that gets created. There was one time that there's been a couple times. There's been folks who've showed up and like, I need to create time for rest. And so for the next 60 minutes, I'm going to give myself rest. And like what they shared was that 60 minutes that they had, it was unapologetic rest. Whereas like had they done it on their own, they were like, oh, but I gotta do this and I gotta do this. But they knew that we were holding that space and time for them to just rest. Or like during tax season, we had a few people show up who were like, I just need some love while I'm figuring out these taxes. And so it's been really magical during those co-working sessions. And then we also have something called wisdom exchange, where people show up where they're able to ask for help. So we've had people ask for help around like, what social media platform should I start my business to broadcast on? Or I need some help with like recording and I don't know how to use this, or I want to create a program. And it's been really beautiful and a generous offering of people being able to help and support and amplify each other, and really taking the concept of lift as we climb and actioning that. And I want to I didn't quote Angela Davis, and Angela Davis is the one who's initially had said that, right? What we're lifting as we climb, and through our collective, and we're building each other up with, and really removing. Rashida, you and I talked about this just before we started recording, about this idea of scarcity, the scarcity mindset, right? We live in this capitalist and individualistic society, right? And that we're kind of taught to, as practitioners, as our modalities, to like, well, we're fighting for each other as like clients or businesses, and that's not at the Hira Collective, right? It's really about amplifying each other's businesses and supporting one another because we're complementary. And how do we lift as we climb? How do we grow collectively? Because the scarcity mindset, it does not is not helpful. It's also it goes against everything that we're doing, right? And we're moving away from this collective, or sorry, moving away from this individualistic capitalist mindset and doing business differently, leading differently, like decolonizing the way that we lead. And so I'm really, really proud of what we've cultivated together and what we're creating together. And what you said, like you can already see it, like you're not just excited about it, but you can already vision what the Hero Collective is going. And it's I, I'm really excited. Like, I'm really excited for us to launch. We launch in 6 weeks. We launch mid-June for end users to come search by modality, ailment, or symptom to find those practitioners and those resources that they need. And if you are a practitioner and would love to be part of our collective, in addition to the 50 that we already have, please reach out. The link will be in the description of this podcast, but you're also welcome to email me directly, Reema at thehiracollective.com. Hira is spelled Hira, or follow us on socials at the Hira Collective on Instagram and all across all our social media accounts. And we'd love to connect. I'd love to meet you and see if we're aligned and bring you on.
Girl, she said she couldn't be on a podcast. You said you couldn't be on a podcast. I don't get it. No, that is not true. You plugged yourself in such a smooth way. I just want to just want to do this again because so effortlessly, so smooth. I love that. This is why we created this union. I'm just excited. I'm so excited. And what we just did our first episode together, and I can't wait for everybody to hear this. Guys, everything is going to be shifting and changing. It's going to be transforming, right? Butterfly, the diamond, it totally makes sense. So, for those who have been listening to the Ultimate Human Experience podcast from the beginning, I just want to say thank you for joining me on this journey, guys. Like, you guys have started with me in the beginning, and now you get to see not just myself, but myself and Reema. You get to see the Ultimate Human Experience podcast in union, partnership with the Hira Collective. You get to see this experience and this journey. And I'm really blessed and honored to participate. I'm just blessed and honored to be a part of this and to experience this. There's no other words. There's going to be more episodes. So it's like I can continue to we'll continue these conversations, but things will be transitioning and transforming. So things will look a little different, but in a beautiful way. And I'm excited for that. And I hope that you guys will continue on listening. And then obviously remember to share and like. She already plugged herself. Rima already plugged herself. Everything will be down in the description below for practitioners, because I know I have practitioners who also listen globally. You guys can go on the Hira Collective. You can send her an email if you want to participate, if you want to join. And for those who are just looking for healers, practitioners, you're looking to connect with community, please jump on to the Hira Collective when it launches in 6 weeks, so that you can really experience this beautiful, like, I don't even know the word, but like this beauty. Please, guys, do that. Um, I'm just really thankful. This conversation was so amazing. Thank you, Rima.
Thank you, Rashida. I love you. You're beautiful. I love that you've created this to help amplify the message that we both really want. We want to raise consciousness and truly just heal the world and have people feel seen and know that they're not alone. So I love you. I respect you. I'm so excited for our relationship to continue to grow and help heal ourselves, and be an example for those who are seeking sisterhood and who are seeking those connections. It'll come. It'll come, just like it came for the both of us. So I love you and I respect you, and I'm Thank you.
I love you. Thank you so much. Guys, this is the Ultimate Human Experience podcast in union with the Hira Collective. We are out. Peace.